Hello, class. My name is Joseph Alawas, and I will be your general botany teacher for fall of 2020. This class, of course, was designed to be a face-to-face class, and with COVID, we're unable to do that. So we're going to use the technology to get through this class, and we'll be primarily using videotapes to get you the lecture information. Honestly, the lectures will be pretty much identical to what you would have received had we met face to face. It's just you'll be watching me teach them rather than sitting in the classroom with me. And of course, we'll try to make it as meaningful as we can. Today is just an introduction to the class and the syllabus, and we might get a little bit into some botany for the first lesson. One of the things that I wanted to do is go over the syllabus with you. There's a lot of information in the syllabus, and so what I'm going to do is share my screen, and this will allow us to allow you to see basically what I'm seeing. Okay, so the first thing I'll tell you is you need to be able to access Moodle. You need to have an ABTech email account as well. These are two important things to make sure you have. All of the information is online, including all of the tests. And so you really are going to have to have reliable internet. We'll talk more about that as well. First thing I want to point out on the Moodle shell here is the course announcements. And I'll be utilizing the course announcements quite a bit during the semester. This is how I'm going to send you links to the videos, important information about tests and test dates and things like that. And so this will come when I send it, it will come to your ABTech email account. So you need to check that. I would suggest checking it daily during the week, Monday through Friday, for important information. There are two versions of the syllabus. There is a Word document, which some of you may not be able to open. And so I also include that same information as a PDF file. So I'm going to pop open the Word document, and we'll spend most of our discussion in the syllabus. Okay, so here's the course information. This is Bio 120. All of you have obviously met the prerequisite requirements, otherwise you wouldn't have been able to enroll. Textbooks, I'm saving you about $120 to $180, depending upon the publisher, by using Wikibooks for lecture. And the links to the Wikibooks sections are in the Moodle shells. And so there'll be active links. You click on them, you read the information. If you feel like you want to have a book, that's fine. You can find any hard copy of a botany textbook that you might be able to pick up online or at a bookstore. As long as it's less than 5 years old, any general botany textbook that's college level will be fine, and you can have that as a supplemental reading. The book that you do need is the Swanson's Field Guide, and here's the information on that with the ISBN number. This is available at the bookstore. The Botany Lab Manual, you might find that useful. I would suggest getting that as well. I think it's about $10. So these two books are not going to set you back too much. You will need to get this Swanson's Field Guide as soon as possible, because we're going to actually start our labs this week with using that book. So please be sure to pick that up. Again, all meeting times are online. There's no schedule. The only scheduling issue for you is when tests are due or when assignments are due. You can watch the videos at your own pace within each unit. I do have office hours, and we'll get to that. I do have virtual office hours. Let's look at the course description first. This is per the Common Course catalog, and you can see the information in here about what is covered in the class, which you may or may not care to read. Here's my information. Don't leave me a message on my office telephone because I'm not in my office right now. If you need to leave me a message, you're going to use this email address, josephg.alawasi@abtech.edu. It is extremely important, and I'll mention this again, that you use your ABTech email address to send me an email to my ABTech email address. Otherwise, I may never see it. It will end up in the spam folder. Don't send me an email from Gmail and expect for me to ever see it. That's what I'm saying. Now we have, I do have live virtual office hours, which are cool. And those are going to be Mondays and Wednesdays from 9 to 10 a.m. You can literally log in. There'll be a link in the Moodle shell, and you can click on that link at this time, and I'll appear on the screen like I do now, except it'll be live. So that's kind of cool. If you have questions or need to talk to me in person. Okay. Course learning outcomes. This is in there primarily just to for our accreditation agency. But it says, you know, if you take this class and you pass with a C or better, then you should, for example, be able to compare and contrast the reproductive strategies of non-animal organisms. Okay. One thing I'll point out, there are lots of hyperlinks in this syllabus. Anything highlighted in blue is a hyperlink, and you can literally just do a control click on that and it'll take you there. So if you were curious about course syllabus information, for example, you can take advantage of some of the hyperlinks, and you'll see a lot of those. Now, this is obviously important information. This is the assessment information, how I'm going to assess you in the class. Again, I point out all of this is online. All of these assignments will be turned in or taken online. We have 5 lecture tests. Each is worth 500 points. I do use a point system. And so the total of the lecture tests is 2,500 points. There's an herbarium that's due. You probably don't have a clue what that means, but we're going to talk about that. This is part of your lab. And an herbarium is basically a collection of plants that you're going to make virtually. That's worth 500. And then we have 7 labs. The first lab is worth 74 points. I know that seems strange. And then labs 2 through 7 are worth 71 points each. It's just how the points worked out. It's not a big deal. And then there's a cumulative final exam that everyone takes that's 500 points. And so if I did my math correctly, there's a total of 4,000 points that you can earn in this class throughout the semester. The way that I calculate your grade at the end of the semester, I add up all your points. I divide them by 4,000. To make it a percentage. And so if you get 90 to 100% of the 4,000 points, you get an A, 80 to 89% a B, etc. Okay. Now, one thing that I'm going to tell you so that it's on the record is once I have calculated your percentage grade at the end of the semester, I allow myself 1 single point of leeway up. And so let's say you had an 89.4, you know, and that's really close to an A. At that point, I would just evaluate your performance, you know, if you have been participating and been regular in the class and stuff like that. And then at that point, I can roll you up 1 point. I allow myself 1 point of leeway, and that's it. So if it's a 88.9, that's not within the 1 point, and I apologize, but I'm unable to roll you up to the next grade level. Okay. So let's just look one more time at this, make sure we're clear. This is the only way to earn points in the class, or these assignments. Lecture tests, labs, herbarium, final exam. There's no extra credit in the class. This is all the points that you have to earn here. Participation. You are required to participate during the first 10% of the course. And the way that you're going to participate and show me that you have attended the first 10% of the course is there's an assignment, and it's a syllabus verification form, and I'll show you when we get back into Moodle where that is. It's located in Moodle below the syllabus, and if you just click on that, it says, I've read the syllabus, yes or no, and you click yes, and you hit submit, and that's the assignment that shows me that you have participated in the first 10% of the class. Okay. ADA information, some of you may have a purple sheet, which means you've gone through the process of speaking with the folks at Student Services, and they have given you some sort of accommodation. And if you have an accommodation that involves time, I will receive your purple sheet, but if you have an accommodation that involves, for example, time on tests, like maybe your accommodation is you get double time on tests, because the tests are online, that will automatically happen when you go to start taking the test, because the tests are timed. It may still say that you only have 50 minutes, but I promise if you have an accommodation, you will actually have whatever that accommodation is. Okay, so be aware of that. And if you think you may have a disability and you would like to have an accommodation, you can talk to the folks in Student Services and they can help you. Everyone in the class, all the students, are able to evaluate me, the instructor, and the class itself about at the halfway point. The second half of the course, basically, it's made available, and you can feel free to critique the class. This is the first time in 20 years I've taught this class online, just so you know. Communication with me, this is very important. My preferred form of communication is via email. I am not in my office. I won't be checking my office phone voicemail. So if you need to get in touch with me, the way that you're going to do that is by sending me an email from your AB Tech email account to my AB Tech email account. Always include the course number, the course that you're in. Now, you don't have to worry about the section number because I only have one botany class. Please don't just send me an email without any information about what class you're in, because I have lots of students and they're all online. You could imagine the chaos that that would create, okay? I will make every effort to respond within 24 hours. If you don't hear from me in a couple of days, then by all means, please resend the email. I get so many emails, and occasionally I overlook one. I really try not to let that happen, but it can happen. So please be aware, okay? Grading, we talked about the assignments. I will keep track of your grades in the Moodle gradebook. I make every effort to have them in there within a week of the assignment. Some are sooner than that even. Within 2 weeks at the very most, the grade for the assignment should be in Moodle, okay? If for some reason you don't see it after 2 weeks, then by all means send me an email and I will take a look. Okay, if there's ever a discrepancy with the grade, let me know, please. You know, mistakes happen. I can easily hit the wrong key and put the wrong number in there for you. And of course, it's able to be corrected. Okay. Now, this is the only thing in the syllabus that's highlighted in bright yellow, because for me personally, as an instructor, this is kind of the most important thing in the syllabus, and it involves taking tests and makeup work, okay? And so here's the situation. Everything is online. All of the assignments are online. What that means is you need reliable internet connection and you need a reliable computer in order to take the tests and turn them in. If you do not have a reliable computer or you do not have reliable internet, it's okay, you can still take the class, but what it means is you're going to probably have to travel to one of the AB Tech campuses, either Madison or the main campus on Victoria Road or the South Campus, and utilize the computer labs, which are open. There's one computer lab open on each campus that you can use to take the tests or to turn in assignments, okay? So here's the thing. Being disconnected from the internet when you're attempting a test is not an acceptable excuse for not completing the test. If you are in doubt or unsure about your home internet connection, please don't use it. Don't take the chance. Come in and you can use one of the computer labs. Now here's how the tests work. The test will open on a particular date. And, so let's just say we're talking about a lecture exam. We finished all of the information. You've watched all the videos for lecture exam 1, let's say. At that point, I will open the test. Once the test opens, it will be open on Moodle. You can start taking it at any time up until the time that it closes. Usually that's a week later. So let's just say I open test 1, lecture test 1 on a Monday. That upcoming Sunday, a week later at midnight, that test will close. Okay. Once the allocated time has passed, the test will close and you are unable to take it. Okay. If you miss the deadline, you miss the test. I can't stress this enough. If you miss the deadline, you miss the test. You're going to have to put these deadlines in your phone, figure out a way to keep track of them so that you know when they are, when the test is going to close, so that you don't miss one. Do not email me and say, I'm so sorry, I missed the test. Can you open it back for me? There's no way to do that. Okay, so it's really, really important. You only have one attempt to take the test. Once you start taking the test, you have to finish taking the test. Don't start taking the test that's timed at 50 minutes and then think, oh, well, I'm going to take a break and have a snack. It's not, you don't get that luxury. Once you start, you got to finish it. Once you close or your time runs out, that's your one attempt to take the test. So I hope this is all clear. Extenuating circumstances. Look, I understand life comes at you, especially now in these times we're living in. Prolonged illness, accident, family emergencies, whatever, let me know. Send me an email and say, look, I have COVID-19. I have a family emergency. I have whatever. And then we can come up with some kind of plan. Okay. Now we have the course schedule. We start out talking about plants, which is good. The first unit covers plant morphology, tissues, organs, stuff like that. And then you can see the labs. The first set of labs involve plant identification. I'm going to do a separate video talking about that. And that will probably be one of the next videos that you receive. But basically, you can see here for the next 2, 3, 4, 5, about 7 weeks, we're going to be identifying plants. And I've got it at 5 species a week. We'll talk more about that. And then your herbariums will be due. That's the first block of labs. In lecture, you can see the different topics that we're doing. Test 1 is basically plant morphology. And then we do cover photosynthesis and respiration in here, as well as genetics. So that will be some review for those of you coming out of 110 or 111. And then we do kingdom surveys, which is really nice. We're going to do viruses, which aren't living, but we will still talk about them. Seems appropriate. Then we do the bacteria, which are the prokaryotic organisms. We do the protista, the fungi, and we do the plant kingdom. So we do we do everything but animals, essentially, in here. And then you can see at the end, we have a cumulative final exam. This is a tentative schedule. You'll notice it says any changes to the syllabus will be posted prior to implementation of the change. It's a little bit unpredictable. We don't know for sure what's gonna happen. If we do have to change the syllabus, I will certainly let you know as soon as that information is available to me. But I don't anticipate that happening. We should be able to cover all of this information by the end of the semester. Okay. Now, what I'm going to suggest that you do at this point is go, or when this video is over and you're done watching it, go to your Moodle, open up your syllabus, read through it, and then let's look at where the syllabus verification form is in Moodle. You can see here's the two versions of the syllabus, and this is the syllabus verification form. It has to be completed by August 31st. So please click on that and click yes and turn that in, and that will show me that you are involved in the class. Okay. Some of the things you'll find in the Moodle shell, for example, if we look at Module 1, actually, let's look at Module 2, because there's a lot of stuff in there. There are PowerPoints. When I send you a video, it will be literally a video of me lecturing and going through these different PowerPoints. So you're gonna see me teaching you the plant tissues PowerPoint, for example. And then there's some required reading. So for example, this is the Wikibooks where it says required reading. So let's say you click on plant tissues. Well, it takes you to the information in Wikibooks about plant tissues. And you can read through that. Okay. Some of them are more detailed than others. So for example, if you click on photosynthesis, well, there's lots of information. And then within the Wikibooks, there are hyperlinks. So you're like, photoautotroph, I don't know what that is. Well, there it tells you about it. Okay. So it's very useful. And I think that that covers the vast majority of what I wanted to tell you, at least this information. One of the handy things that I have at my disposal is called a Wacom board, and I'm going to show you how that works. I can show you now. So this allows me to write on the screen, okay? And I'll be utilizing this a lot during the videos as we make our way through the class. So I think one of the things that I wanted to talk about just before the video is done has to do with, you know, what if we're studying, you know, typically when we think of botany, we think of plants. Botanists have traditionally studied other organisms as well. But let's think about cells for a second. And let's think about some organelles in cells. And so we're back to cell biology, which you studied in your 110 or your 111. Let's think about some organelles that might be unique. You can't really say unique to plants. Let's think about how plant cells are different from animal cells for a second. What are some organelles that are not found in animals? So we can put a little asterisk and say not found in animals. And it turns out the very first one, if you're starting at the outside of a cell and working your way in, would be the cell wall, right? And we can put a little asterisk there because animals do not have cell walls. Now, animals are kind of the exception to the rule, interestingly, because most other organisms, bacteria have cell walls. Protozoans or protistans have cell walls. Fungi have cell walls. Animals are kind of the oddball in terms of that. Okay, just inside the cell wall is what we like to call the cell membrane. And this kind of delineates the cell proper. And it turns out that all cells have a cell membrane. We could think about all these little green balls that you might find in photosynthetic organisms. And these are called chloroplasts. And we're going to put a little asterisk there because they're not found in animals. There is one weird exception. They have recently found this organism. It's a sea slug. It's a mollusk that lives in the ocean that actually stole the genetic information to make chlorophyll from an algae. And so now we have this weird oddball animal that technically has chlorophyll. But other than that, we like to think that chloroplasts are unique or are not found in animals. There's another one that's interesting, and it's a very large organelle, takes up a good bit of the space on the inside of a plant cell. And it's called the central vacuole. Oh gosh, didn't do so good, sorry. See, I can erase, that's good. VACUOLE, the central vacuole. We're going to put a little asterisk here because the central vacuole is another organelle that's not found in animals. And, you know, when we think about the function, we might list the function of the central vacuole. It has a couple of functions. One is a mechanical function. We say that it provides the cell with turgidity, or turgor is kind of pushing out in all directions. Think about like a water balloon. So what this three-dimensional membrane inside of the plant cell does is it pushes out in all directions. It's full of water, among other things, and it helps to maintain the three-dimensional shape of the cell. But in addition to that, there's a practical function to the central vacuole, and that is storage. What do plants store? Water, sugar or glucose, starch, right? So, you know, think about a potato. Well, the potato is a cell that is packed full of starch. Think about an apple. The cells of the apple are full of glucose. So this is typically where these things are stored, is in the central vacuole. That's pretty much it for things not found in animals. Of course, we could draw a few more organelles in here, like the nucleus. There's another organelle that's cool. It's often drawn in blue, and it's called the mitochondria. I'll draw two in there because mitochondria is actually plural. The chloroplast is the site of photosynthesis. The mitochondria is the site of cellular respiration, right? So I want to just think about these two chemical reactions, one occurring in the chloroplast and one occurring in the mitochondria. And I want to think about them in terms of how they're related. Okay, so this will be the last little topic. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to clear that. And I'm going to write a chemical equation here that looks like this. 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O yields C6H12O6 plus 6 O2. Okay, and you know this as the chemical equation for photosynthesis, right? Going in this direction. But what if I put an arrow going this way? Well, now I've written the chemical equation for cellular respiration. They are complementary reactions. The products of photosynthesis, glucose and oxygen, are in fact the reactants of cellular respiration. And the products of cellular respiration, carbon dioxide and water, are in fact the reactants of photosynthesis. And so the interesting thing about photosynthetic organisms is they do both, right? Animals only go in this direction. They can only consume sugar and in the presence of oxygen, turn it into carbon dioxide and water. But plants and other photosynthetic organisms, they go in both directions. They take carbon dioxide from the air and water from the ground, and they make sugar and release oxygen, but then they use this, right? They use this in cellular respiration because all living things do cellular respiration, including photosynthetic organisms. Okay. So I think that's a pretty good little intro to the class. I hope that you're enlightened a little bit by what is expected of you. I'm sure you're going to have a certain amount of questions. Watch the videos. The videos will answer most of the things that you need to know. The PowerPoints are available to you in Moodle as well, but you're going to see the PowerPoints in the videos. The nice thing again about the video is you can watch it over and over if you want to. Okay. I'm going to sign off now, and I wish you all luck with the semester. Please, if you need to reach out to me, send me an email from your student email. Thank you. Bye-bye.